Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Patrick Chan, and today I want us to talk about how to identify overstaffing or understaffing risks within your organization. And this is basically using real-time analytics. And you find that organizations are really facing challenges in terms of managing workforce regarding the numbers. And you find that at any given point in time, organizations must be able to have the right number of people doing the right thing at the right time and at the right cost to the organization. And this takes us to the aspect of HR planning. So it is key that organizations must be able to take into consideration when they are overstaffed or when they are understaffed, because the two situations present a very uh, problematic uh, issue that needs organizations to be able to address them. So in this presentation, I'll take you through on how to identify these two risks and the steps the organization can take to be able to mitigate or manage this risk in the event that they occur. The second, I'll be able to talk about first thing that I'll be able to talk about is understanding these three staffing risks. We have understaffing, we have overstaffing, and we also have misallocation. So let's start with understaffing. So what is understaffing? Understaffing is when you have available capacity below the demand required to deliver the work. So meaning that you don't have the right number of people to undertake the different work or tasks that are available. So you cannot maintain the expected speed, you cannot maintain the quality, you cannot maintain the service levels that are expected because you don't have a sufficient number of people to be able to do this or take these responsibilities. So what are the risks with this? There are risks of burnout, there are risks of missed deadlines, and there are also risks in terms of customer satisfaction. It will impact on the customer experiences because you might not have people or you not have people to satisfy or to undertake, uh, to address the concerns of the customers because they are deficient in number. The other aspect is overstaffing. So here we are talking about having excess manpower. So paid capacity exceeding what actually needed. So this one creates a lot of idle time. It creates weak utilization and unnecessary labor cost. So you find that organizations that are overstaffed will end up paying more in terms of labor cost, ultimately affecting their financial capabilities. You have wasted labor hours because you have so many people who do nothing within the organization. Then what is it about misallocation? Here we are talking about having the adequate number of people, but now don't have the right skills. So they cannot be scheduled to undertake certain functions because their skills don't match with the required work output. So here we're talking about you have wrong shifts coverage, you have people who are distributed wrongfully within the different departments or different sections, and this leads to imbalance within the organization. It leads to imbalance within the departments. So what needs to be done here is that they need to monitor the team, they need to monitor the shifts, they need to monitor allocation so that you can be able to know exactly who the number of people that are available, what they are doing, and you can be able to track, the work that they are doing based on the job descriptions or job specifications as provided. So, what are real-time staffing analytics should monitor? One, you should be able to monitor the demand. Demand in terms of now, we are looking at it from the point of what are these people doing? Are they able to meet customers in terms of orders, in terms of transactions? Can they meet, what needs to be done? Can they undertake their full responsibilities? Does the demand meet supply. So if the demand for manpower is there, then do we have the right people to do that work as demanded? The capacity in terms of schedule hours, the attendance, the skills. So do we have people who will work? Do they have the skills that are needed? Are they sufficient enough to undertake those responsibilities? Then we have the aspect of trade. Is there overtime? People are people not sufficient enough to undertake their responsibilities, whereby now they are trained to do more. So here we see people who are stressed. There may be a lot of absenteeism because there's too much work. The staffing levels and the demand don't match. The other aspect is efficiency. So do we have uh, people working at the right cost? Do you pay people who contribute effectively? Uh, is there productivity? Is there return on investment? When you pay people, do they work and ultimately contribute positively to the organization? So we are talking about efficiency. Are they efficient enough to realize the obligation of the company? So we are looking at the outcomes here. What are the service level agreement attainment? Do people meet the service level agreement? Do people provide or employees give quality services? Do customers wait for long because before they're served? As regards to when you don't have enough number of people, then customers might tend to take a long time to get served. So we are looking at the need of manpower against the available people. So what is the demand? What is the supply? And do the supply meet the demands as provided? What are the early warning signs of understaffing? Let's start with understaffing. One is demand spike. So when there is demand spike, then you are certain that the number of people who are there are not sufficient. You know, when there is overtime, when people are overworking, then it means that the people who are there are not enough to meet the demands of the work. When quality decline, then you are saying that you're witnessing increasing error rates, you're witnessing a lot of complaints, safety incidents and all that. It means the people who are working there are not meeting the safety requirements in terms of quality, in terms of, what is the expectation of them within the work are not met because they are not sufficient enough to undertake their responsibilities as required. We are witnessing burnout scenarios where people now are overworking. So when there's burnout, there's a high chance that people not come to work. People become absent because they don't see the need of going to work since they are overworked. So those are some of the things that can be seen. Manager overload. Managers become stretched with larger spans of control, less coach time. So we see managers getting overstretched in terms of what they are doing, since the people who are managing the people who are under them are not sufficient enough to undertake their responsibilities. So managers may go out of their way to again help in doing those tasks. So what are some of the stages that present themselves? We have stage one when you have the demand surge. Then the second stage, when the demand surge is not addressed, then we witness an overloading point. Then when there's overloading, then that overloading ultimately affects service quality, how service is rendered. So what are some of the early warning signs of overstaffing? Overstaffing, then you will see there is demand decline. Demand is flat or failing while scheduled labor remains unchanged. There's idle capacity, so many people are there, but nothing to do. There's cost inefficiency, labor cost grows because people are there, but they are not contributing productively to the organization. There's skill mismatch. Highly paid specialists spend time on low value work because there is mismatch between what they are supposed to be doing and what they're actually doing. There's no productivity. Team appear busy, but priorities are not clear and targets are not met. So the early signs are warning signs. People, you can clearly see the people are there, but they're not doing anything. Targets are not met because there is no prioritization of work. And then you can see with time, the systemic waste of manpower. People idle too much, there is less productivity. Ultimately, there's a lot of cost to the organization, and then over time, there is systemic waste in the company. So, what are some of the actionable steps to building a staffing risk operating model? One is that you need to track work experience level. You must be able to look at use local baseline threshold. That thing that you need to do is to separate structural versus scheduling. Hiring won't fix poor scheduling. So you need to be sure who are the people that you want to hire, or how many people do you have? How many people might you need in the next 2 or 3 years? Where are you going to get them? Do you have the requisite resources to sustain or to meet the demand for manpower? So you need to distinguish true overstaffing. Low utilization can reflect poor processing design, but not excess labor. So you must be able to know exactly, are you witnessing overstaffing? Are you witnessing understaffing? Are you witnessing mismatch of skills against roles? Links alerts to response actions. You must be able to understand or verify the demand. You must have tangible evidence to make a decision based on the demand, so that you don't just get or employ people for the sake of doing it. You must be able to establish existence of demand, existence of need for manpower. Then you must be able to know exactly where you're going to get these people, and at what cost is the organization going to, face in terms of getting these people. You must also be able to review manager capacity, track the span of control. A manager must be able to be in charge of how many people. That means that when they have excess people under their control, there might be a problem in terms of supervision, in terms of coaching, in terms of administrative activities, and so on. So ensure that the span of control is not excessively large, because it will affect how these managers work. So it is important to ensure that you also combine business data with people, so that you know exactly how many people do you have, what are the needs of the business, how are these needs of the business going to be met. So what are the benefits of having real-time staffing analytics? One, you lower avoidable labor costs. So detecting staffing imbalance early will reduce waste and optimize resource allocation. Number two, you will have better service levels, whereby timely capacity adjustments ensures consistent quality and customer satisfaction. The third aspect here is that there will be improvement in terms of managers' capacity. The span of control will be addressed so that managers are not overstretched when they are executing their supervisory role, so that you are able to reduce day-to-day performance management by burdens and focusing and help managers to focus on strategic leadership. Reduce burnout risk, prevents sustained workload pressure, and protects employee well-being. The other thing is that there is better strategic decision making, so that here we are talking about data-driven insights for workforce planning and talent trade-off. So you are able to understand clearly your needs for manpower and how you're going to meet those needs. There's faster response to change. You're able to adapt quickly to shifting market conditions and business demands, because you have an understanding of your needs for manpower, and you're able to prepare early enough so that you avoid scenarios whereby you are overstaffing, or you are overstaffed or understaffed, or even when you have a situation where there is mismatch between the skills and work that is supposed to be done. In conclusion, we are saying that the best question that you need to ask yourself as a manager or as an organization is, how many people do we have? You must be able to understand that you must be able to have the right people doing the right thing at the right time and at the right cost in the organization. This means that we must have people who have the right capacity in the right place with the right skills at the right time, so that you avoid scenarios where you have an excessive of these people or a deficit of these people, so that you don't have those instances where you have productivity problems because you cannot meet the demands of the business in terms of manpower. So treat staffing risk as a live operating signal rather than just a retrospective HR metric. It's something that is continuous. So always be able to monitor the needs because you find that in organization, people come and go. So when people leave, you must know exactly how many people have left, what shortage of manpower has been created by those people leaving, how are you going to replace these people, and ensure that as you plan for replacement, you don't create a scenario where the organization comes to a standstill because people are not available to work. So always make sure that you monitor staffing changes at every given point in time so that you're able to address them as they occur. So thank you so much for listening or for having me here, and be blessed.